What's happening, party people? Welcome to my remix video. Man, I almost feel bad about not remixing this video years ago because some people make a critical mistake when they're doing this repair. And this repair includes replacing the thermostat or the ECT sensor, engine coolant temperature sensor. That sensor sends messages or information to the ECU, the engine computer, and the engine computer takes that information, translates it, and controls the fuel mix, quote unquote, the choke per se. Back in the 50s, 60s, and before the 90s, a lot of cars had chokes. When they became fuel injected, ECU controlled, that process went away. People no longer needed to choke cars because the computer did it for you. And when these ECT sensors go bad, sometimes they tell the computer that the coolant temperature or the engine temperature is minus 40 degrees. And the car tries to start and mix fuel based on that freezing temperature. When the temperature is 70 degrees or the engine temperature is close to 200 degrees because you drove it, shut it down, it doesn't send the right fuel mix, likely floods the car because when the engine is cold, it needs more fuel. So, becoming real common for people to need to replace this ECT sensor. Common symptoms are if the car starts good when it's cold, but don't like to start and run when it's hot, sensor's probably bad. The car starts fine when it's warm, but it doesn't like to start and run when it's cold, sensor's probably bad. Now, sometimes you can read this information on your OBD2 live data, sometimes you can't. But the critical mistake that people make is they strip one of the bolts on top of it, and then when they try to get that bolt out, instead of drilling the head off of it, pulling the top of the thermostat housing off, and unscrewing the bolt with their finger or with a pair of needle nose pliers or something, they try to get a better bite on the T40 by hitting it with a hammer or something, and they shatter the lower part of the thermostat housing. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's the thermostat housing on these 850 S and V70, yada, 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 these P80 cars. The sensor you need to replace is right there. It takes a 19 millimeter. Well, you have to get the top of the thermostat housing off. That's the easiest way to get down there to replace that sensor. Unless you got another way, most people are going to take this thermostat housing off. Now, this thermostat housing usually has these torque screws in it. It's not a hex, it's a torque. It's a T40. And when everything is installed, including the intake manifold, it's hard to get to that rear bolt. And they've been in for 20, 30 years or so. Some of them are extremely hard to get out. Sometimes they're over tightened. Sometimes they just been sitting so many years that they're hard to break loose. So people usually get this one broke loose easy. As you can see, these have been replaced with hexes, so they're a lot easier to get out. They break this one loose, they get back here, they can't get that one loose. They end up stripping it. And part of the reason is it's hard to get something straight down on there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you have the torque screws still in there, that T40, and if you have the T40 torque screws still in there, like I showed you, and you go to put a T40 bit in there, you hit it from up top, it's got this head of the socket on there. You hit it, you're on a little bit of an angle. Sometimes some of these sockets have a bigger head, you're on a bigger angle, and you don't get that bit down in there good because there's crud in there, dirt, oil, whatever, and you try to break it loose, you strip that thing, you're done. You need to drill it out. You can get a drill bit down in there because it doesn't have this head. Now, what you should do, because this is relatively cheap, I buy these on Amazon for $6.50 shipped, something like that. This has a long extended neck on it that goes straight down on there because the head of the socket is not hitting the cylinder head, and it's easy to break this loose. Now this is like a 3-inch shaft on there, maybe 4. I like a 2.5-inch shaft, but nonetheless this works fine. You will very rarely strip that bolt out when using this. Order one of these, like I said, somewhere around $6-7. My daughter stripped one of those out one time trying to replace her thermostat, and a machine shop told her they would charge her $95 to get that out 15 years ago. Probably 125, 150 bucks now to get that screw out if you strip it. And that's just an estimate. So get you one of these. Again, what people like to do is they strip that out and then they try to get a better bite on it. They take that socket that they have and they tap on it with a hammer or something, and sometimes they hit it too hard. When they do that, they shatter this thermostat housing under it. This is hollow, very thin wall. The walls on that thing is probably a 1/4 inch thick. They shatter that, and now they got a bigger problem because whatever reason they were replacing this thermostat for, or this temp sensor, now they need to get at this to replace it. It has 2 bolts up here, a couple more T40s, one here, one on the other side, and it's got this one down here. The one down here is actually behind the bracket that holds all the accessories. If you need to replace this, the thing to do is remove your power steering pump bracket assembly. Then you can get one of these long bits to get on that screw above that engine bracket. So that's what you got to do if you've unfortunately shattered your thermostat housing lower, if you shattered your lower thermostat housing. But hopefully you will do the right thing, get you one of these long bits, get on top of that, break that loose, and move on with your life. If you're just replacing the thermostat, it's a 10-minute job. If you're replacing this ECT, it's a 20-minute job. Drain a little bit of coolant, take off your thermostat housing top. After you take off your coolant hose, put a 19mm on there, break that loose, unscrew it with your finger, screw the replacement in, plug it in, put your thermostat housing back on, preferably with a new Volvo thermostat, and you're good to go. So here's the video. It did not contain the warning of not hitting this with a hammer and shattering this lower housing. So that's what the remix is about. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. If you need to contact me direct, my contact information is at the end of the video. Doing some work on an 850. It's had some starting issues, hard to start when it's warm, that kind of thing. And then we scanned the computer and it came up with a temp sensor code, P0116. So I'm going to show you guys where the sensor is and tell you the easiest way to get it pulled out. If you pull the coolant hose to the side and you're looking housing of the thermostat, you can see the wire going into it, and now the temp sensors come in focus. The connector for it's right there. Some people know how to ohm it out. I don't remember the ohm reading on it and didn't bring my ohm gauge with me, so I'm just going to go ahead and unplug it and take it out, and you should put a new one in if at all possible. If you want to check it out with an old used one, you can. These are the tools I use when I'm changing the temp sensor. A lot of times when the temp sensor is being changed, people change the thermostat as well. If the thermostat you know is good and working fine, then don't worry about it. But take off the top of the thermostat housing, and I use this speed handle. I now substitute this speed handle and short bit for a regular ratchet wrench and that long bit I showed you earlier. The temp sensor is a 19 millimeter, so you need a 19 millimeter to get on there to get the temp sensor out. Then I often drain a little bit of the coolant out, so I use a 1/4 inch tools to drain some of the coolant out. When you're draining coolant out of the radiator, you just open it up, let it drain out, and when you close it back, it really doesn't need to be tight, it just needs to be snug. So snug it down with the 13 millimeter screwdriver there. Then I use the other 1/4 inch sockets to get the radiator hose off. So those are the tools I use to change the temp sensor. First thing I do is come down this side of the radiator, stick a 13 millimeter in there, drain some of the coolant out of the radiator, hopefully get enough out, maybe a gallon. There's not none in this top radiator hose. Then take a 7 millimeter socket, take this clamp loose. To get that part of the hose, take this clamp loose. Now you can pull this top radiator hose off. If this hose is soft or looks like it's swollen or something, go ahead and get a new one to replace it. Aftermarket ones are 19 bucks, something like that. Now that the hose is out of the way, you can see the temp sensor wire a little better. Some people unplug the wire and they know how to check the ohms on it. I don't have my ohm meter with me and don't know the proper ohms of it when it's at this temperature anyway, so I'm going to just pull it out. It's preferred to replace it with a new one, but if you have a spare one laying around, you can use it as a test unit. The easiest way to get it out is to take the thermostat housing off. I'm going to put a T40 on these two bolts up top and take that top thermostat housing off. If you're having issues with your thermostat, you can go ahead and replace it at this time as well. If your car has an RN engine, which is like 99 or newer, has a front timing cover like this with the clips on the side, you do want to remove this timing cover, two T30s, and get this out of the way, because that's going to prevent you from hitting that screw in the back at the proper angle. Again, you don't want to strip that screw. So let me get a T30, remove these two, take this cover off by pulling this clip out and the one out back there and setting this aside. Lift that timing belt cover up, set it out of the way, and you can see straight down on these T40s. If you got the 850 or the one that's before this RN engine, you can get down on that screw straight enough even with fuel lines here. Don't let that deter you. Next thing we're going to do is pull the screws out. I'm going to use this T40 bit, this extension, and my ratchet wrench to get down over top of that thing and break that loose. This normally works for me on this front one. Just make sure you're set all the way down in there good. Oop, that's the wrong bit. I got to get the right bit. If I strip that, I'm going to be messed up. So, not the T30, but the T40. Make sure that bit is set down in there real good. Lean over top of it with your body. Take your other hand, turn this thing counterclockwise to break it loose. I can't do it holding the phone, so let me see if I can set the phone here and you can watch. Lean down on it. Ah, that one came loose. Good to go with that one. The second one is tough. What I use is a Allen that I get from Home Depot. I get a set of these Huskies. They come from like a T50 all the way down to T10. I put them over top of there, making sure that thing is set all the way down in that bit. Next, I get a cheater to break that loose. Let me show you what I use for a cheater. Any cheater would use. I have used open boxed in wrenches, slid them over there. I'll show you how that works, and then I'll show you what I like to use with it. Now, usually this bit is not long enough to get down on there straight, and the shoulder of this bit puts you on an angle. Now, this is actually fine on this C70. I could pop that loose with that. But in case you got an 850 or something and you having reach problems, I'm gonna show you how to use this. With that Allen bit in there like that, you could take a boxed in wrench, you could slide it over the end of that Allen and then start to twist it so that that is like that. That's what I call cheater. You do it that way, or you could do it this way, is what I've developed and liked even more than that. I'll take an 8 or a 10 millimeter socket, slide it over the end of that. Now I have a handle out here, and if you got a longer extension, heck, use a longer one. The longer extension you have, the better leverage you have. So I take this 10 millimeter socket, I put it on an extension, and now I have the ultimate tool for breaking this loose if I can't get down on it with that bit. Let me go ahead and break this loose, and I lean on it a little bit. Make sure I've got this thing deeply planted in that screw head. This thing is tight. I'm gonna need 2 hands. Try this again. Came loose. Now I got both screws loose. Go ahead and remove these 2 screws. Try not to drop them down in the engine bay. Okay, I got both of the screws all the way loose now. So I'll go ahead and take this housing up and out of the way. And then you can see the thermostat in there. Kind of a funny thing, the thermostat's actually broke. Thermostat is put in with a little seal there, and the Volvo one has a little weep hole in it, this little metal thing, and you don't have to put any blue RTV or nothing like that to get those things sealed down in there. That thermostat is actually a Volvo thermostat, so they break too. Just have to watch your temp gauge, make sure you're okay. This temp sensor is a 19 millimeter, so you may want to take the thing apart there. You can flip that out, take this apart, slide the wrench over it and get it that way, or you could try to get a wrench on it this way if you can get leverage on it without a bracket or something being in the way to break that temp sensor loose. I don't know if it matters how this connection goes together, but I couldn't get no leverage on the temp sensor with the power steering reservoir assembly in the way, so I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to try to put the connector back together the way I got it apart. It just may be a completed circuit, but I'm going to try to make sure I plug it in right. When you turn the connector that way, you can pry it open like that. That thing just flips down like that. Let those connectors out. So I'm going to take my wrench, put it over there like that, get it in a position where I can break that thing loose. Go ahead and break it loose and take it off. Once I break it loose, it'll probably turn off with my bare hands. So let me work on getting that off. I got it broke loose. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it the rest of the way out. I'm pretty sure it has a little washer on the end of it, so make sure you don't drop that washer down there. Once you get that turned out, that's your temp sensor. A lot of people replace those whenever they replace their thermostat, because after so long, those things lose their effectiveness and they cause starting issues and sometimes lean running issues when they're not reporting the proper temperature to the ECU. So there it is, the sensor's out, the washer's still there, so I'm going to grab that, and that's what the ETC looks like. So when you go back in with the new one, make sure it's got the washer on it, screw it in hand tight, and I would probably give it a quarter turn past that. You don't want to strip it, and that little washer should stop it from leaking. Plug the connector in, secure the connector, and then put your thermostat stuff back together and put your hose on. Just back out the way you went in and fill the coolant back up. So if you got any questions, go ahead and post them. If you made it this far, I trust that you found some information that was either useful or entertaining, so go ahead and hit the like button. And if you would like notification of future videos that I post, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. You can follow me on other social media apps by looking for @RobertDIY. Some form of that should bring up the other channels that I have on places like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. If for some reason you need some more personal help go to my website at robertdiy.com and use the phone number that I have posted there to send me a text message, or you can email me. If you have questions or comments, please make a comment below. And if you'd like to make some kind of financial contribution to what I got going on here, go to my channel and hit the more link at the end of the introduction statement, and it'll show you different ways that you can support me financially. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.